Sometimes when you have logic that you need the computer to perform, it's not as simple as just comparing one item against another. You actually have multiple things, like this must be true and this other thing must be true. Or maybe you could say this thing could be true or this thing could be true. We can do that with logical operators. We have logical and, which is double ampersand, logical or, which is double pipe, and not, which you've already seen. We also call that a bang, and that's the exclamation point. So let's do a first example that's fairly simple. We have two values that are already Boolean, so we don't need an expression, but we do need to indicate that they both must be true in order for us to launch. So let's create can launch and say has fuel and engines active. If both of those are true, we can launch. So we see that that's false, and that's because while it checked has fuel and saw that it was true, it continued here to see if engines active was also true, but it was false. So then the entire thing evaluates as false. Let's do logical or. We can perform maintenance if it is daytime or if it is the weekend. So let can perform maintenance is daytime or is weekend. So that symbol there is a pipe. I have a double pipe that can be found up at the top right part of your keyboard, just above your return key. Okay, let's find out. It is true. All right, so one of these was true, and therefore the entire thing is true. That's what OR does for us. The last one here is the logical not. So we have mission status is ready and fuel level percentage is 100. So we want to check if the mission is delayed. So this is a negative check. So we'll say let is mission delayed, and we'll say not, and then in parentheses, I'm going to put both of the conditions that have to be true. So mission status is ready, and fuel level percentage needs to be equal to 100. So if these things are both true, and then we say we want the opposite, if it's not that both of those things are true, then we have to delay the mission. So let's log that. And we see it's false. And that makes sense because this expression here is true and this expression here is true. But taken all together, the entire thing's true, but we were checking for the opposite of that. So is mission delayed? False. It in fact is ready to go because both of these things are true. Okay, last one is the oxygen level. We can combine operators with expressions as well. So I'm going to create a new variable, and we're going to check, is the oxygen level greater than 10 and the oxygen level is less than 20? If both of those things are true, is oxygen safe will be true. But if either one of them is wrong, then it'll be false. And we get true. So because the level is 15, it's between 10 and 20, and therefore the oxygen is safe. I'm going to go ahead and commit this. Completed compound and expression demo. And the last thing for you is to come over here to this practice file and get a little bit of practice in. I've given you different variables, and it'll give you some practice in using some of those logical operators like the double ampersand and the double pipe and the bang, the not operator. And that's all I've got for you. I will see you in the next one.